here to talk about our project in near Omagh in Northern Ireland. We're dual listed on the TSXV and on AIM. Some cautionary disclosure regarding the presentation that I'm sure you'll have seen before. As an introduction, I'd like to tell you a little bit about the mine. It's a high-grade, narrow vein gold mine. The average grade is about 7.5 grams a tonne, with a lot of upside resource potential. But we drilled off enough resources to get cracking, and that's what we're doing. We were an open pit, and now we're working underground. We have some institutional shareholders, Melcourt Limited and Miton Asset Management, have us in 3 of their funds. I'm a large shareholder myself, and Ross Beatty, the famed North American investor, is also a shareholder. We're very close to production. In fact, we have production now. The production is coming from development ore underground, and it's progressing well. We put out an RNS this week, shows how well that's doing. There's the decline tunnel at 1 in 7 is over 1,000 metres, 1,136 metres long, and we now have development on 3 underground levels within the mine prior to stoping. We have an operating concentrate processing plant. That's a froth flotation plant, which is a very secure plant environmentally. Froth flotation relies on the surface chemistry of sulfide particles, and we have a sulfide-hosted ore body. So we produce a sulfide concentrate that then gets sold to a smelter under an offtake agreement. The plant's capable of up to 30,000 ounces a year, though we do have the capability to expand that. We have planning consent to effectively double the size of the plant. We have all the planning permits, and as I say, we're actually operating on underground. The planning process, as you can well imagine, is a long and tortuous process. And our planning permit was taken to judicial review. The applicant lost the judicial review, and he then took it to the Court of Appeal, and we won in that one as well. So we have a confirmed planning permit that we continue to operate. We have lots of veins to go at here, but the mine is set out on just 2 of those veins to start with. This is the 43101, that's the Canadian standard, and PERC, which is the European standard resource report. And we have done some drilling since 2014, but we haven't issued a new report as yet. That drilling actually included one of the largest accumulations of gold on the property, actually. So we're hopeful that that would increase. And we intend to do more drilling from underground as we produce cash flow from the property. As you can see there, the 2 main veins, Joshua and Kearney, hold the bulk of the resources. But there's opportunity to expand the resources on the other veins, as well as Joshua and Kearney. We haven't identified the full extent of any of these veins as yet. This is some of the most recent intersects that we've had. In 2016, we drilled a hole on Joshua vein, which gave a 13-metre true width. So that's not a drill hole length, that's a true width on the vein at just a shade under 10 grams a tonne. So it's about 1/3 of an ounce a tonne. In underground mining terms, that's pretty good, and I'm very pleased with that. And that same program also identified a new vein. We only have a couple of intercepts on it, but one of those intercepts was over an ounce a tonne on 0.7 metres, which is again a good underground grade. We have potential to significantly expand our resources. If you add up the range of grades and tonnes there, you'll see over 2 million ounces of hard targets. And our strategy is to drill from underground to identify a lot of these out of cash flow as we go. That's not the only purpose for cash flow. We want to expand the mine from our current target of 30,000 ounces northwards to 50,000 ounces plus. But in fact, we've built the internal infrastructure, that's the main decline tunnel, of a sufficient size to take a 40-ton underground truck to enable us to do that. So it shows where we think this mine is going. But there are three main places for this resource that we intend to expand. There's the central section, which is a northwards extension from Care. And on the mine plan, when we link the Kearney vein to the Joshua vein, which we've already started, we will be going through that area. The blue dashes that you see on that map are induced polarization anomalies. That's a means of electronic prospecting. And in the case of Elkins, which is the right-hand circle that's identified, you'll see that those dashes extend up to the green veins that are to the right of the picture, and that's the Elkins vein. And every time we drilled that IP anomaly, we've hit decent grade. So again, that's another target for us to increase our resources. Same is true for the circle on the left. There's a whole bunch of induced polarization anomalies there towards Pigeon Top. The streams that are derived from that upland all contain gold within the streams. You can pan gold from all those streams. So there's certainly an accumulation of gold there somewhere, but we haven't found it yet. So that's an opportunity for the future. Those are just the areas immediately surrounding the mine, but but it's just a small part of our license area. The OM1 license area contains what's called an inlier of Dalradian rocks. And these Dalradian rocks are old rocks. It's a truism that when you're looking for gold, you look for old rocks and you look for a good plumbing system. And that inlier contains both of those. There's a large fault to the north called the Cool Fault, and there's the Omer Thrust to the south. And that's what lifts those rocks up to the surface. I say to the surface, there's actually a blanket of glacial till and peat over pretty well the whole of that area. And that's one of the reasons why the gold's still there to be got, because it's not easily found. You have to do a lot of deep soil sampling, prospecting by aerial electronic means, time domain-based electromagnetics, and this gives you clues where to start. The OM1 license forms part of our licenses in Northern Ireland. The other license area in Northern Ireland that we have is the OM4 license. We've made some reasonable progress on that, on identifying targets within that license. They're not as well advanced as the targets immediately around the mine, because the targets around the mine will come to fruition more quickly. It'll create earlier pay dirt. The smaller license areas that you see are actually over the border in the Republic, and we've had some progress with those license areas too. Certainly the trends continue down there into the Republic. This is a photograph by drone taken last November. So it kind of gives a curve to the open pit, but is in fact a straight line from north to south. The mine portal is at the base of the open pit. The open pit is about 40 meters deep, and the mine currently extends 60 meters below that. You have a 20-odd meter crown pillar beneath, separating the open pit and the underground mine to keep the underground mine safe until those lower sections are worked. And we've extended on 3 levels. So the level between underneath the crown pillar, the first level underneath that, and the next level. And when we've pushed those levels above each other, we can then stope by long hole stoping to mine them. The processing plant, as I said before, is a very straightforward process. It's froth flotation. It worked very well for the open pit. It's working very well for the development ore underground. The average ore grade underground is about 7.5 grams. Of course, it varies, but that's the average. And the processing plant produces material that's about 100 grams a tonne. That material is then shipped in bulk bags, 25 tonnes at a time in a container to the off-taker. We expect positive cash flow in 2019. The annual ore production you have on the table there, that actually came from a 2014 study. I am under blackout in terms of our financial resources. We expect to, in terms of our annual financial statement, that will come out in April. So I can't say too much on that particular side of things. But things are going reasonably closely as planned. We put in an RNS that our mine costs are pretty well on the ball, which for a 2014 study, I think gives some credit, and credit to the team on that. This is a drawing of the underground mine. You can see the size of the portal there compared to the ready-mix concrete wagon that we were using at that time for shotcrete. As I said, we can comfortably get a 40-ton underground mining truck in that, which is the sort of size you'd need if you were going to go for 50,000, 60,000 ounces. So the fact that we're prepared to commit now to putting the main decline tunnel in at that size gives you some indication of where we think it's going to go. The mining is by conventional means. It's drill, blast, load, support. We're not reinventing the wheel here. And as I said before, the froth flotation processing is a relatively simple, straightforward, and environmentally clean process. Initial production target, 30,000 ounces a year. We've said that we expect to be on that target in 2020, 2021. We expect to be cash positive this year. Our current expectations are that the money that we raised last December will see us to that, and that we will have positive cash flow after that. So we don't see need for placings going forward. Black swans can happen, but that's our current expectation. As I said before, this equipment is relatively straightforward. Some of it has been acquired new on lease purchase. Some of it is where we can acquire good quality second-hand equipment. We've done so. We've refurbished it locally. Northern Ireland is a good place to do that. It's been a long time since they built ships at Harland and Wolff, but Northern Ireland has a good engineering infrastructure. They build all sorts of things there, from rally gearboxes. They can deal with big bearings on ball mills, all sorts of things. And we've made use of those facilities. And they are good value, I have to say. Northern Ireland is a good value place to have work done. So this is the cash flow that was reported in the 2014 study. As you can see from that, good cash flow, 72% internal rate of return on that extra money. Yes, that's a surprising number. But it's partly because we'd already had the plant built. We already own the plant. If you were to rebuild that plant today, I don't know what it would cost you. Probably, if Bateman's did it, it'd be well north of 10 million. But we only have a 14 million market cap, so just the plant is a good lump of that. So we have the plant built, we own the land, we have the tailings facility already in place and paid for. So to put the underground mine in has cost us 10 million, and we think that that's what it's going to cost us. We haven't spent all of the placing money that we did that we raised in December. We raised 4 million in December, and we put half of that to work. And the remainder we see as sustaining us through the immediate period until the concentrate starts flowing more rapidly. The concentrate's already flowing. We produce from development level ends. So as we develop the veins in ore, we produce gold. That goes to the mill. Currently we are milling on a single shift per week. In our release we said that we'll be doubling that to 2 shifts a week towards the end of the summer, or by the end of the summer. And we expect a 3rd shift to be going on before the end of the year. So that will be at least 24/5, if not 24/6 production by the end of the year. Part of that is tied to the fact that we are adding additional levels as we go deeper in development, and we will start stoping, that is joining between the levels to produce more ore. That gives some indication of the future target areas. And that's a summary of where we expect to be in 5 years' time. Any questions? The cost of production is less than $500 an ounce. But of course we're paid in sterling, so it does depend on what that exchange rate is. When we did our study in 2014, the exchange rate was $1.60. Now we're $1.30. So that's good for us. That was a £750 sterling gold price then. Now it's, what, $9.50? Okay. I'm being told that my time is up, but I'm very happy to speak to you at booth 35 if you would like to. Goes for anybody else too.